Hello, wise women, and welcome today to our Menopause Success Masterclass. I'm Angela Sidlo, and I'm the founder of Menopause Success, and I'm a menopause success coach, and I teach other practitioners and women health coaches to be menopause success coaches. And today I just want to open the conversation and invite you in to explore about your own menopause, or maybe the menopause that someone that you know who's very close to you might be going through or experiencing. And come with an open heart and listen and ask questions and learn. So I want to tell you a little bit about my journey. It's not unlike many women's journeys, but I think hearing it helps you say, oh, I'm not alone. There's other people going through this. And I did a class recently, and we talked about different stages of the mental, emotional, physical process that happens through the menopause journey. And there were so many commonalities. There were so many ways that we all connected, and we said, oh, I'm not alone. This is happening to other people. This is part of it. I thought I was kind of going crazy, or I couldn't express it to my doctor properly. Or they just dismissed me, or they just wanted to put me on meds, or, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll show you some ways that I've learned to take care of myself that you can do too. And a really special program that I offer once a year for women to come in and create community and go through these stages together. So let's get started. I realized in a big awakening when I was in my mid-40s, probably, that something was happening in my body that was not normal. I was so fatigued. I was anxious at the same time, having panic attacks, having heart palpitations, having digestive issues. I even had myself tested by a psychiatrist to see if I was manic or bipolar. I mean, I took the test and everything. I was really in a down, dark place. And I knew about natural health. I tried to eat good and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really understand how to do it. So long story short, I began to do energy work, and I started feeling better. And then I found the plant medicine of herbs and essential oils, and I even felt better. And then I decided to make that my career. Funny that I should, actually pick a career when I'm in my mid-40s, right? But it was something that was so profound to me, and I had experienced with so many levels to it that I had to share. And so that's why I created a Menopause Success. And it's what I'm so passionate about. So I want to take you on a little journey. It's fall, so here in the United States. And so I want to really, menopause is that fall time of your life where things are changing. We're losing some things, but we're also gaining some richness in the compost that creates in that letting go. But our culture doesn't see it that way. So I want to take you through some questions that you can ask yourselves. And I'm going to post, when I put this video up, I will post in the description where you can find the questions, the link to the questions, so you can also take some time to go through those. So just a little bit of physiology background. You go into menopause. Some women go into perimenopause, that time before you actually have your menopause day. They might start that in their mid-30s. because of environmental influences, genetic influences, food and lifestyle. All of that play a part in where your hormones are at, especially estrogen and estrogen dominance. Most likely, you begin that perimenopause journey in your mid-40s, where your estrogen and your progesterone levels are beginning to wane as your ovaries are getting finished with their job of providing you with a fertility to bear children. And so as those levels go down, we start seeing some changes in our body. The liver and the adrenal glands take over some of that hormone production for you. I talk about it in my book, Aromatherapy for Menopause Success. Let's see, I think I might have a copy of it somewhere here on the shelf. Maybe it's on my other bookshelf. Anyway, it's on Amazon, Aromatherapy for Menopause Success. And so there's this shifting that goes on, but the body still says, well, wait a minute, I think I can still do it. And then it's like, no, I don't think so. Well, wait a minute, I think I can still do it. So that's that whole roller coaster of emotions and physical symptoms. And if your adrenal glands have been taxed out because you've been stressed or you've had a high-powered job that has required so much of your energy and attention, your adrenals are like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And so there's this sputtering where you feel like you've run out of gas. And if the liver is still dealing with toxins or it's sluggish from not being cleaned regularly, it's going to say, I'm still working on that glass of wine you had last night for dinner. I can't take anything else on. So those are some of just the physical things and some of the ways that your body's trying to make this shift. So perimenopause can last from 5 to 15 years, depending on how you've taken care of your body. And then when you've gone 1 full year without a menstrual cycle, you can mark that day of 12 months as your menopause day. That is the day that you enter menopause. So you go perimenopause that one day of menopause, which is a day of celebration, by the way. And then you go into post-menopause. And that's really, that post-menopause time is really, from my experience, the best, most fertile, richest part of your life. And don't you want to go into that in this optimal way? Yeah, there's still a lot of unknowns, mostly because of our cultural teachings about it. So let's dive into some of the questions. And I want you to just take these into some deeper journaling. But one of the big questions that I always ask women is, when you were growing up, what were your experiences with older adult women? Did you grow up near your grandmother or your great-grandmother? And many of us didn't have the opportunity to grow up around our grandmother or great-grandmother. I was fortunate. I got to grow up with both of them. And even though I did, I mean, I could see, you know, how the women in the family were and what their roles were and how they interacted in the community. But we still didn't talk about the menopause. We didn't even talk about monthly cycle. I remember my mom sending me off to the Catholic church where the nuns gave a class about periods and menstrual cycles and the biology, physiology of having a period. Nobody talked about sex. And I'm like, why are they sending me to the nuns? They're celibate anyway. I never did understand that. So my dad was an EMT, and I looked through a lot of his books and learned that way. And it just wasn't something that was talked about in my family. And really, when I went through menopause, my mom didn't have anything to offer except, oh, there's a pill for that. And so I really still didn't feel like I got any good guidance. I even went to an OBGYN doctor at one time for vaginal dryness, and she offered a solution of either putting me on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, or using Crisco, seriously, as a vaginal lubricant. I'm like, oh boy, I need to keep diving into more answers from someplace else. Luckily, I found some other really good teachers here online and through books. And so, again, that's why I'm sharing with you. So think about, how did older women in your family play a role in how you saw older women in the community and as elders? When you thought of yourself as aging, what did you imagine? You know, how do you feel that you're going to age? It's a really valid question, and I'm so curious at the answers that women have going through this. When I think about my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother, I remember my grandmother when she was, in her 50s and 60s, and now that I'm in my 60s, I think she seemed really a lot older to me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I think it's part of our changing times. We have better tools, better nutrients, better information to keep ourselves healthy and vibrant. And I think we have to use all of those tools that are available to us. So imagine how you felt yourself aging, and how did that feel to you? I'm excited about aging. I actually really am, because I have much more time to be me, because I'm not being a mom all the time. And although I'm a grandmother, I still have an identity just as a wise woman, and I really love teaching it. So is aging a positive thing for you? Do you think of aging in a positive way? Because as women, we get blasted with the media perception of, you have to be young, you have to look this way, you have to be this size, all of these things. And when we start putting on that little bit of layer of a belly fat as we go into menopause, we feel threatened by that in some way, because we're not fitting the image that we think we should be, or we're not we're less seen and less heard because we're older. And that's just our culture. We need to create a culture of honoring older women for all of the experience they've had, all of their life experiences, the jobs, the families they've raised, just everything that we have brought to the table needs to be honored. I remember when I started first getting little bits of gray hair up in here, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh, good. I'm starting to get the look of the wise woman. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So have you ever looked forward to being 50 or older? I remember when I turned 30, and 30 was hard for me. I remember when I turned 40. 40 was amazing. I felt like I was at the top of my game. When I got to 50, I'm like, okay, I probably need to make some changes. And now that I'm 60, I'm just feeling really in my elements creatively and in my health. And I want to share that with others. So have you ever looked forward to being 50 or older? What were your parents' lives like when they were the age that you are now? Yeah. You think about, what was my mom doing when she was 60? Yeah. So think about that. What were your parents' lives like when they were the age you are now? And how did you see their health and their appearance and their attitude? I know my mom was tired a lot. I think that she did a lot of roller coastering, um, with not only emotions, but as a result of hormone imbalances. And I think ultimately that influenced me to find more answers, to really be able to, even though I didn't have any daughters, to be able to share that with my daughter-in-laws and to other women in my community, to be an influencer for changing the narrative around menopause and women aging. And what do you feel you'll lose or you have lost with age? Um, that's a big question because it brings up a lot of emotions. What will you lose or what have you lost as you age? Um, for a while, when I first went into perimenopause, I didn't feel like I had an identity. My children were growing and leaving the house, having lives of their own. I was between jobs and really didn't have any direction for where I wanted to go with my life, with my career, with my purpose. And it felt very lonely and alone. And I didn't feel like having that discussion with my husband was really resonating. I needed a community of women to be there for me, to see me, to hear me, and for me to be able to see and hear them and know that we were on this amazing journey together through thick and through thin. And how did you examine these beliefs about loss and gain? Now I can see what I'll gain from this time in my life is taking my energy in that pelvic bowl, that creative space where the sacral chakra is, and where that was a place where I was, producing children and having my mothering, nurturing instincts come through. Now that is that creative space for me to have this energy rise up in me and be able to create community with women like you through Menopause Success. And to me, that is so fulfilling. And when you think about these beliefs about loss and gain, yeah, I lost some of my youth. I was a mother at a very young age. So I grieved that and I went through that process and made peace with it. And now I can, as I leave that past for fertile ground, I can take that and compost it and rebuild and see what we can gain. You have to ask yourself, are these things that I believe about loss and gain, are they true? Um, I think as women, our bodies change so much as we go from puberty into motherhood or being the maiden, and then into our crone years. I used to hate that word crone. It sounded so crabby and like depressing. But now, as I step into that role as the wise woman, into that role of the crone, it sounds a lot like crown. And I'm honored to have that position. So, explore that in journaling, explore that in the emotional body. Drop in from your head space into your heart space as you think about that question. And then, the last question I like to have you ask is, now, how did it feel to consider these kinds of questions? Like, it's not something we all talk about. Like, we don't just sit around over a glass of wine and say, hey, what do you think about getting old? Right? So just taking some time to honestly, without judgment, look at questions like this. And again, I'll give you these links in the description when I post this. Some of the other assessments that I use with women when I'm talking about our Menopause Success Mastery program, it's a 9-month program that takes you on this journey to rebirthing yourself. And I wanted to share with you, after I had done some of these questions, I made some affirmations for myself, and I really want to share those with you today. I was, at the time just wanting to culminate a rebirth of myself as I went through this journey of acknowledging my menopause day, surviving perimenopause, and going into my post-menopause time, and looking at, what do I want to cultivate? How do I want to go forward? So I just want to share with you some of the things that I put together, and I hope that you'll be able to make a list at some point too. Culminating rebirth. I did this on a full moon. I love the full moons. And I do have a wise woman group for the full moon each month. Financial abundance comes easily to me. I find my sweetness in life through healthy activities. Intimacy comes easily and authentically. To me, I am satisfied. Gratitude is a daily companion I am close to. So it is, and so be it. And I took that and I just folded it up and I put it away in a drawer. And today, ironically, when I was sorting through things, I go through things and find a bag of things for the Goodwill every month. And I opened a drawer and I found this. And I thought, how amazing was that I found this today? And this is the type of thing that I'm wanting to share with my wise woman friend. So trust in the universe that it's going to guide you to the right decisions, the right things. And these things are manifesting for me. So writing those down and taking time to honor your thoughts and feelings, again, not from a head space, but from a heart space, because that's the operative space in the way of the wise woman, and something that I go into more depth in teaching. So some of the questions, where do you struggle when it comes to aging and balancing your hormones? And it'll change as you make your way through perimenopause. But I think aside from the emotional ups and downs, it's finding, that struggle for me was within, how can I sustain my health and wellness into my aging years? And that's really been a big focus. And it's why I created the hormone balance detox for women to go through, to understand what your hormones are doing so that you can know how to create a way of eating and a style of eating that doesn't include crazy diets all the time, and regularly detoxing. So what goals do you have for your health through menopause? Some of the goals that I hear women talk about in my programs are, well, besides I want to lose 10 pounds, that's always the obvious one for women in menopause, is I want to be able to find purpose. I want my health to reflect my age as I go. Maybe Tai Chi is appropriate, or Qigong exercises, or a yoga class, or maybe just walking twice a day for 30 minutes is a great way to have a goal for your health through menopause. It's going to change, and it's really important to go through the flow as you're trying to decide. I've done a lot of different things. I have a Fitbit, so I have the premium version, and I have little exercise videos that I go through periodically to switch it up, change it around, and find something new and different to do. And I love to be outdoors. I love to go on hikes and be out in nature. whether it's kayaking or riding my bike or taking a walk. There's all kinds of ways that you can engage in physical activity and exercise. And if you have a friend that you can do as an accountability partner, that's even better. So, what advice have you received in the past from family, friends, or medical professionals? And this is always an interesting one because sometimes there are families that they actually talk about these things, or you have a close friend that you can say, hey, what's up with weird periods in your 40s? And somebody you can really talk to, or a medical professional. I didn't find that my case when I was going through perimenopause, but later I found through the internet and through other connections some really good medical professionals that understood it. And really some of the best medical professionals were health coaches who specialized in, say, pelvic floor health, which is so important. I do a whole section on that. And in the Menopause Success Mastery program, there are videos where I've interviewed these professionals that I found really helpful. And they talk about all the different things that they do and that you can be able to work with them. So it's fantastic to have those resources available. And asking yourself just what's working for you now. Because I know, especially with diet and exercise, what was working for me in my 30s did not work for me in my 40s. What was working for me in my 40s did not work for me in my 50s. And so really finding out what is working for you now, where do you want to improve it, and what obstacles are you facing, or what obstacles are standing in your way of A, reaching your goals, B, managing your symptoms. And, I really hate to use the word symptom around menopause, because what's happening for you, whatever comes up in the physical, mental, emotional body, is your body saying, hello, can you please listen to me now? You ignored me through your 30s. You ignored me through your 40s. And here I am knocking at the door saying, if you don't change something now, if you don't embrace this change that you're going through, you are going to have trouble down the road. So please listen to those hot flashes. What are they telling? What heated information is coming up that needs to be dealt with? I'll help you with that through the Menopause Success program. We'll meet every month in a live class to talk about what's happening, to give you solutions through our plant allies of essential oils and herbs and foods to get you through it, to get you to the threshold of becoming a wise woman. It's a process. And how do you imagine feeling once your hormones are balanced through menopause, once you've developed a good eating style, a good way to move your body, a good way to feel like you have purpose, that you're being heard, that you're being seen, that you make a difference to those in your community and to yourself? How can you honor yourself? How do you imagine feeling? How would you imagine feeling if you had the time and the energy and the finances to really take care of yourself? Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Menopause Success Mastery program. This was so much fun to develop and put together. 9 months. So I'm going to go through the monthly themes and tell you a little bit about them. Month 1 is hear the call, inquire, and root to expand. You are here looking at this video because you have heard the call. You're curious, you want to inquire. And then if you join the program, you're going to be rooting into this new way of learning so that you can expand, that you can really become that wise woman. So we're going to explore that passage of menopause, which I think is the heroine's journey. It's your descent, what sacrifices you've made to give rise. We're going to explore your inner experience of menopause and listen really deep to your body's messages. Yeah, we're going to explore self-love, sacred self-care, meditation, and journaling. Just redefining what beauty means for this next phase of your life. In month 2, we're going to do acknowledge and transform by going to the well. What does that mean? In our culture, supported and honored menopause would not, we couldn't reach that state unless we can honor ourselves. We can't do that when we've continually been in a state of exhaustion and physical depletion through our 20s, 30s, and 40s. We don't need the quick fix. What we need is communion with other women. We have to tap deep into a source of nourishment. And that's a matter of understanding the language of hormones, nurturing health, exploring herbal wisdom, linking the physical, emotional, and energetic realms together to refill your well. And sometimes that means, looking deeper, which will take us to month 3, where we embrace the void so that we can reach the light. When you go through menopause, it can feel deep and dark, and there can be some grief. There can be some experiences that we have survived that we need to purge. We need to look at the shadow side. We need to go into that void and spend some time in that darkness so that we can find the other way to the other end of the tunnel, to that other life that awaits you. In month 4, we'll create space for grace while we claim the crown. So in midlife, you can be seen as beautiful and powerful, sexy and assertive as a wise woman. I know that might be hard to imagine right now, but I've seen it. I've seen this transformation in women who've gone through this program. There is a revolution that's going to start that month. So we're going to honor and empower you. Finding the places where you're overgiving. Claim your space. Put yourself first. You deserve it. In month 5, we're going to nourish that seed that we had just planted, and we're going to bring companions in on this journey. This is a really powerful time when we look at our relationship and the relationships around us, and it's going to start to shift. We're changing and growing into our power. This can be difficult. It can feel like shedding a skin and being vulnerable. And we want to explore those roles in relationships, defining your needs with your partner, your parents, your children, allowing yourself this personal relationship. It's part of being a wise woman. You have to know yourself before you can know others truly. In month 6, we're going to do arise and shine with sensual transformation. Yep. We're going to talk about everything down there as far as pleasure goes. And this will be a very sexually, sensually charged month where we're going to be expanding that sexual energy instead of feeling that it's been diminished. And we're going to I have a beautiful interview with a very dynamic sex therapist, Eva, and she is amazing, Eva Blake. And I'm so excited to share that with you. So claim your sensuality and your pleasure and listen to the voice of your desires. So loving your body, finding ways and rituals to do self-love. and nurture that. Month 7, we're going to go into express and expand by joining the dance. So now that you've turned on that sensual self, we're going to really put that into motion, and we're going to be going beyond the sphere and focusing on nurturing a family and career, and gain a greater perspective and wider connections, both in your community and out to the cosmos. Wow, what does that mean? We're going to rediscover lunar cycles in the wise woman way, because you're not having a menstrual cycle anymore, but we're going to cycle ourselves to the lunar aspect, connecting with nature, understanding your body's own rhythms, learning about wise woman traditions, sacred ceremony, and our plant allies. So that's going to be harnessing some more beautiful energy. Month 8 is about blossom and behold. And this is where you get to really celebrate becoming a wise woman, and create your wise woman statement. Make a personal statement. Share your personal statements in a ritual. We're going to be having some dream time guidance and inspiration, and writing a wise woman letter to yourself. Yes. And in our very last month, we'll be doing enrich, allow, and step into your role. And that month brings the Wise Woman Menopause Success Mastery Program and your journey to becoming a wise mom really into fruition. It's a time to step out into your community and offer your unique talents as a wise woman. And I know you're like, how can I do that? How is that really going to happen? Yes, you're going to claim your status as an elder and a wise woman. And you're going to become the model for menopause and aging as part of this beautiful menopause success community of like-minded women. We're going to honor each of the journeys that you're on individually as women in the group, and have our own menopause celebration and ceremony. So if you feel called to this, to learn, reflect, and create, I am having a big open invitation for you to join this group and the richness that it offers. We'll have our monthly chats and some office hours. And really, I want to be here for you. I want to support you. I want to see you healthy and happy and vibrant in your community. So if you want to be part of this community and you're not ready to jump in for a 9-month experience, you can go to Facebook and find me in the group Menopause Success. That's a group where I post regularly and have good content in there for you to contemplate. And then you can go to my Teachable online program, where there's several programs that you can start getting involved in. And I'll provide another link in here in the description. So thank you for being with me today for this time together. And I look forward to your questions and comments and seeing you grow into the wise woman that I know you're going to become.